The interesting thing here is that these type of games that come in steel books are worth a lot more money than the ones that don't, but they're the same price. What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the free trade-in game collection challenge. If you've missed any of the previous 23 episodes, go back and check them out, because otherwise you won't really know what's going on, and you won't have seen the journey that we've been on to collect everything that you see behind me. Mega Drives, PlayStation, Switches, Wii U's, all those games, all those PlayStation games were picked up in the last episode when I waded through the shed of despair to get them. Unfortunately, there's no footage of that because it was kind of sprung upon me, but you've got to see all the aftermath, if you will. So, in this series, we're going to pick up video game related items, flip part of it on to make the money back, and then take whatever's left over into CEX, get a voucher, and spend it on games. And so far, we have managed to build a collection worth £1,274, and we've got a total cash profit, that is free money, of £578. That's a lot of money. Rather than just build that up just for the sake of it, today we are going to spend it. Not all of it, a little bit, a very small fraction. So, in these times, these trying times for many, money isn't something that is just readily available. The cost of living is going up. You're probably sick of hearing about it. And some people still need entertainment. Let's be honest, we all need entertainment. And some people don't have the mass collection that I have behind me or the money to start it. But maybe you have £5, maybe you have £10. You can walk into CX and pick up some absolute bangers for £5 or £10. And that's exactly what we're going to do today. If you do go on to enjoy this video, please remember to hit the like button and leave a comment down below, because it does really let me know that you want to see this kind of thing more often. I love doing the video game stuff. This is something that I would like to do once a week. I'm going to take a very small amount of that total cash profit, go into CEX or a charity shop or a pawn shop or whatever it may be, a boot sale, and we're going to pick up some games that we actually want to put on the shelf, but we never really look at when we go into CEX with a voucher. I've gone in there with 60, 70, £100 before, and the last thing I want to do is go through all the Xbox 360, PS3, PS2, Wii games or whatever, looking for some cheap titles. Normally what I want to do is, when I have a lot of money to spend, I want to buy the bigger budget items, because when am I going to get that chance again? In my mind, I'm thinking, well, those games, those cheap games, they're always going to be there. I've always got the opportunity to buy them, and I never do. This is the part of the series where we're going to do that. So, let's go into CEX, have a little look around, and see what tickles my fancy. This is one of the sections in CEX that I very rarely look at, but the amount of gold here is unreal. Now, with the addition of Xbox Game Pass in recent years, this section is just that little bit less relevant, you know, that people can sign up to Xbox Game Pass and have access to, no, I wouldn't say all of them, but a lot of these games, right? So there's that. The other thing, of course, is remasters and re-releases and things. So Skyrim is available on every platform known to man, including a Russell Hobbs toaster. You can quite literally get that game on anything. And they've remade an awful lot of these games and brought out sort of remastered special editions of them with better graphics that run better, etc. So why would you want to pick them up? And that's a very good question. Some games are just better, though, on the original console. And there are quite a few games here that are just not that expensive. That Beijing game is an absolute banger, one of my favourite Olympic games of all time. Brothers in Arms, Hell's Highway is quite literally my favourite shooter of all time. If you ask me what my favourite shooter is, I will always tell you that game, because the story is fantastic. It's just a really, really good game. Looking at the DS stuff, and I'm not going to rule this out either, picking up a DS in the future is definitely something I want to do. However, because I'm going to skip over this very quickly, I think you know what's coming, the 3DS section. I want a Nintendo 3DS at some point. I'm looking at the XLs and things, and the newer ones, and they do look really good. I watched a Scott the Woz video last night, and he was talking about 3D gaming, and it just reminded me how much I actually like the 3DS, but I never owned one. I never really played a game on one outside of testing it when I used to work in Game Station. Something I want to do, but I didn't realise how expensive the games were. And here we are down at the PS3 section. A lot of these games have been remastered for PS4, so I can't imagine I'm going to pick up many. Plus, this one in particular I think has been remastered for PS4. Love Turtles, don't own any Turtles games on any platform, so I'd like to at some point, and that is one that I'd actually quite like to pick up. £12, but I don't have any way of playing these at the moment. The Xbox One has some backwards compatibility. I do half take that into consideration when I pick up some Xbox games, but when it comes to PlayStation games, the PS3 software is unbelievably complicated, and that's why they don't put them in newer machines. That's why you don't have a PS4 with backwards compatibility, and it's why they didn't do it for the PlayStation 5. So I'm going to need to pick up a PlayStation 3 at some point. They're not really expensive, but it's not something I have in the collection right now. So that's why we're back in the Xbox 360 section. There are a few games here that I'd like to pick up. I want to try and avoid remasters. So Skyrim, for example, as it's the one right in front of me right now, I'm not going to pick that up because I can get that on a PS4. I can get it on an Xbox One. I can get it on a PC. So there's absolutely no point. This is a game that I looked at and I've played quite a lot. It's not as good as Beijing in my opinion, but it is £2.50. And I actually watched, I can't remember why I watched it. I never really watched them. I think Simon played it the other day. They went back after it. I think it's like 10 years old now, this game. It came out in 2012. And it just still looked enjoyable. There are a lot of the modes on there that I think I'd like to pick up. And for £2.50, complete with the manual, I thought that might be a little bit too good to put down. You just saw LA Noire there down the bottom. One of my favourite games to play on the Xbox 360 back in the day. But again, it has a remaster. This is something I'm going to look to pick up in the future. Not Resi 5 necessarily, but steelbooks. Steelbooks in CEX. I mean, there's a bad condition there, you know, some chip into the plastic, that the tin itself wasn't in the best of conditions, but steelbooks in CEX are the same price as any other version of the game. They don't add more for steelbooks than they do for just the standard stuff, and there are a lot of steelbook releases, mainly on PlayStation 4 and things now, but even back in the 360 days they did do a fair few steelbooks, so it's not something that I'm going to rule out, and it's definitely going to be something that I pay a lot more attention to going forward. Because even though we're not spending an awful lot of money here, if we can pick up like 3 or 4 steelbooks every episode, we're going to have an insanely good steelbook collection, and some of them are worth a lot more than what CEX sell them for. I'm in the Wii section now, having a little look. I've never seen this Poker Park game before. Don't know anything about it. Of course, it doesn't really meet the criteria of this episode. I'm not going to just splash £20 on one game. I could, and it would technically still be free, but I want to try and keep this as cheap as possible. I don't really want to be spending more than about £10 here if I can help it. But going through the Wii section, there wasn't really anything catching my eye. And the more I think about it, right, I'm really struggling when it comes to Wii. I wouldn't mind picking up a couple of Wii games, but apart from the obvious, Super Mario's and Galaxy and maybe even Mario Kart at some point, possibly Animal Crossing, but probably not, I can't really think of many that I would actually ever want to play. You know, they would just go on the shelf and stay there and never be touched. Everything that I get for the collection will at some point, whether it be soon or in the future, will get a run out. I will eventually play them. So this is Scribblenauts, not really a game that I'm overly fond of. I played a little bit on the DS back when it originally came out. £8 though is a good price for that, and to be fair, if I'd had credit, I probably would have picked that up. They did have a Shovel Knight there last week. Unfortunately, that's gone. It was £25, but I've not managed to accumulate enough credit in order to pick that up. I was a little bit disappointed by that, to be honest, because that is a game that I actually really do want to pick up on the Wii U, and I've missed out on it twice now. I went to Swindon a while ago. They had it there, but it was a reprinted cover, and now this time they had it and now it's gone, so that's frustrating. But, you know, it is what it is. It'll come back, I'm sure. A couple of games on the PS2. Didn't really think of this. Could pick up some games. Max Payne, I mean, a fantastic game. I think it introduced bullet time. I don't think there was another game out there that really had bullet time as part of their sort of repertoire until Max Payne came out. And I used to spend ages just jumping back and forth between doorways trying to take out enemies. So I put that in my hand for now. Whether I pick it up or not, I'm not sure. There are quite a few PS2 games, though, that could very well find its way into my hand at some point. So this is, again, £2.50, Wipeout Fusion. There was a time where I thought I would find a lot of PlayStation 2 games out in the wild, and I would be able to find sort of just bundles of them, you know, people selling off their collections because they just don't want them anymore, they don't play them. I don't find any. No one sells their PlayStation 2 stuff. This is a great game, the Sonic Mega Collection. I do have this, but it's in really rough condition. It's not part of the series so far, but for £8, it's nice, it's in good condition, but I'm going to leave it there. There was another game that I nearly picked up, and it was in a charity shop. So this is a British Heart Foundation, which doesn't tend to have an awful lot of games, but there was a GameCube game on the shelf, Crash Nitro Kart. The disc, as you can see, wasn't in the best of conditions. That was £7, as you can just about make out. They had another one as well, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4. Not a game that I've played much of, you know, a little bit here or there, but obviously 1, 2 were the big ones for me. 2 in particular was just so much fun. American Wasteland on the 360. That'll be something I look to pick up in the future as well. I have to go and have a little look at the prices of these, and I go on CEX and I have a little scan to see whether these are actually going to be worth picking up. Now, both of the discs, I guarantee you they would have worked, but they would not have been trade-worthy as far as CEX were concerned. Crash traded in for a tenner, and they wanted 7 for it, so there would have been £3 profit. I would have been tempted to keep it, to be honest. And then the other game, of course, was Tony Hawk. That only traded in for 3, and they wanted 4 for it. I looked on eBay. They were actually selling. Crash in particular, I was very close to picking it up. I deliberated for quite a while. Crash was selling for around 15 to 20. I thought about it, but in the end, did I pick it up? Did I pick up that Crash game? That is a question. Did I pick up Tony Hawk? That's another question. Let's find out. So I'm going to show you the first game. You've already seen it. It is London 2012 on the Xbox 360. This is a good game. It's not as good as Beijing in my opinion, because the way that I judge an athletics game is by the 100 and 200 meter sprints, maybe even the 400. If you have to if you have to tap A and B or whatever it may be on the, well, A and B given that I'm on the 360, if you have to tap those to sprint, it's a banger. If you have to just power it and not go up too high or too fast and get the stamina right, you know, I'm not a big fan of that. That's what this is, unfortunately. Now, I didn't see Beijing because I just blanked it, but I've seen it on the footage, and I do regret not picking that up instead. But this is a fun game with some fun events, and it was £2.50, as you can see, so not bad. Disc condition is good. It comes with a manual. It's a good game to throw into the collection. Now, I don't know whether that's backwards compatible with the Xbox One. I'm going to have to test it out. I will have to pick up a 360 and a PS3 and a DS at some point as well, because I do want to pick up some 3DS games and I do want to pick up some PS3 games, and because they're so difficult to backwards compatibilize, you have to get a PS3. There's just no other way to do it. Now, the next game you saw me pick up as well, but let's be honest, everyone has to own this game at some point in their life. Max Payne. Played the hell out of this as a kid. I say as a kid, I probably wasn't even that old. Probably was quite old, actually. I can't remember what year it came out. 2001. I would have been 13, I think, when that game came out. I remember just diving back and forth between doorways. Even though I could just walk in and shoot them, I would dive back and forth between the doorway using bullet time and just jump past the door going like that, and then they didn't die. I'd get up, re-steady myself, jump back across the door. I bet they thought, what the hell is this guy doing? But it's such a fun game. Didn't really play the second one. It's weird when that happens. Loved this. Couldn't get enough of it. Did I play the second? No. I don't know why. But £2.50 on that one. Happy to add that to the collection. One more game for £2. So I didn't pick up Crash. Why didn't I get it? I thought about it. I won't lie to you. It goes for about $15.20 on eBay. It was in okay condition. I mean, the disc itself wasn't great, but the manual was present, and of course the artwork and everything looked fine. Probably could have got $15.20 for it if I wanted to resell it, but after fees and everything, I don't know, it just didn't seem really worth it, and the Tony Hawk game just wasn't worth it, full stop. It was £4, and it's probably bang on the money if you wanted to put it in the collection, but the artwork on that one had taken a bit of a chew, so I left it. The next game is one that a lot of people won't ever have seen or heard of. It is an Xbox 360 game called Wet. I am a big fan of this. It went under the radar. No one knew it was coming. It came out, I picked it up, and it was immense. Such a good game. Some really difficult boss battles. £2, just for clarification there at the bottom. Just a game that I don't think is ever going to get a remaster. I'm not sure if it's on Game Pass. I don't have Game Pass, so I don't know. But it's just one of those. I remember playing it. I remember loving it. They never made a second one, to the best of my knowledge. And I just don't see them ever making a remaster of it. So why not? And that's kind of what I want to do with what I'm doing here. Games that won't be remade. Games that don't get remastered. Games that, I don't care if they're on Game Pass or not, that's irrelevant because they can be added and taken away at any point anyway. But games that I enjoyed playing and that I can't get better versions of, I will pick up. Pretty sure they have not done a remaster of Max Payne. That is a bit of a weird one. I mean, everyone would buy the hell out of that. And then they're not going to do a remaster of a 2012 Olympic game, and this one was a banger. So there's £7 spent on our first set of games for the collection using cash. Now, I'm not always going to stick to CEX, although it's a very good place to pick up games on the cheap, because a lot of them are going to be, they're going to be 10 deep on the shelf. People just don't buy them. And I know a lot of, I would say younger, really, people are going to look at it and go, why would I want to play older games when I can buy the new games? And that's fine, that's up to you. But I played the hell out of my Xbox 360. Used to work for GameStation during that era, and I just got to play nearly anything and everything. We used to get to take games home and borrow them and just play through them and take them back whenever. I got discount on things as well, so new releases I would be buying all the time. So I played a lot of the Xbox 360 catalogue, and there are a lot of gems in there, and they're not expensive. Wet is probably one of the standout gems of the 360 for me. It was such a good game. I think, what was it called? Afro Samurai as well. That is a little bit more well known, but again, it's not going to be an expensive game, and it's a really good game as well. But that's going to do it for just the pickup episode, if you will. So if you want to see this again, obviously different games, different pickups, £10 limit, then do me a favour and hit the like button. It will let me know that you actually want to see this again. If you have enjoyed it, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and until the next time, goodbye.